He charmed them with a smile. He left them in bathtubs, on waterbeds, and in flames. Dubbed the Casanova Killer, Glen Edward Rogers crisscrossed America on a trail of seduction and slaughter, leaving behind victims with red hair in a haunting pattern too chilling to ignore. Now, after nearly 3 decades on death row, the clock is ticking toward his final moment. On May 15, 2025, Glen Edward Rogers is scheduled to die by lethal injection at Florida's Union Correctional Institution. The man dubbed the Casanova Killer and the Cross-Country Killer is nearing the final chapter of a gruesome story that began in small-town Ohio and sprawled across the American map in a bloody trail of charm, violence, and death. Stay with us as we uncover the twisted life, brutal crimes, and upcoming execution of one of America's most elusive serial killers. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another bite-sized tale from the dark side. Born on July 15, 1962, in Hamilton, Ohio, Glen Edward Rogers was one of 7 children. His father, Claude, worked at a local paper mill, and his mother, Edna, tried to hold the household together. But the Rogers home was hardly a nurturing environment. Glen was expelled from junior high before he was 16 and quickly spiraled into a troubled adolescence. By 17, he had impregnated his 14-year-old girlfriend, Deborah Ann Nix. They married young and had 2 children, but by 1983, their relationship crumbled under allegations of physical abuse. With his marriage over and no clear path forward, Glen Rogers began drifting, and so did his conscience. Though suspicions around Rogers began earlier, his first confirmed victim was found in 1994. That victim was Mark Peters, a 71-year-old retired electrician and veteran. Rogers had been staying in Peters' Hamilton home when the older man disappeared in October 1993. Police found Peters' remains bound to a chair in a family-owned cabin in Kentucky months later, hidden beneath a pile of furniture. Rogers had vanished, along with Peters' valuables. Then came 1995. It was a year of horror, beginning with a drink at a bar and ending in a cross-country killing spree. On September 28, 1995, Sandra Gallagher, a 33-year-old mother of 3, encountered Rogers at McRed's Bar in Van Nuys, California. The next day, her body was discovered burned beyond recognition inside her own truck, parked near Rogers' apartment. Authorities determined she had been strangled before being set ablaze. Rogers had vanished, again, this time heading east. He didn't stop. In Mississippi, Rogers met 34-year-old Linda Price at the state fair. Her sister later recalled how Price was captivated by Rogers, calling him good-looking. They briefly lived together, but on Halloween, Linda Price was missing. She was later found dead, like Gallagher, found in a bathtub. Rogers was nowhere to be found. On November 5, 1995, Tina Cribbs, 34, met Rogers at a bar in Gibsonton, Florida. He asked her for a ride. 2 days later, her body was discovered in a motel bathtub. She had been stabbed repeatedly. Rogers had paid for an extra night and asked the staff not to clean the room. When authorities checked the room and Cribbs' wallet, Rogers' fingerprints were there. Her car was gone. It was the vehicle that led to his capture. Just 4 days after Cribbs' murder, another body turned up. 37-year-old Andy Sutton, found on a waterbed in Louisiana, her throat slashed. She too had red hair, just like the others. On November 13, 1995, Rogers was spotted driving Cribbs' stolen white Ford Festiva in Waco, Kentucky. After a 13-mile police chase, Rogers was finally cornered. The chase ended in a ditch, with local officers and state troopers surrounding him. It was all caught on tape by a local news crew. At first, Rogers bragged of killing 70 people. Then he retracted the claim, saying he was just joking. But the evidence in the 4 known murders was no laughing matter. Rogers was first tried and convicted in Florida for the murder of Tina Cribbs. On July 11, 1997, he was sentenced to death. Then came California. On June 22, 1999, he was convicted of murdering Sandra Gallagher. He received another death sentence on July 16th. Today, Glen Rogers remains on death row at Union Correctional Institution, a double death row inmate. Appeals were filed as expected. His legal team argued everything from weak evidence to procedural errors, But by 2011, all appeals had failed. In a twist that still baffles many, Rogers later claimed he was involved in the infamous 1994 murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. He even stated that O.J. Simpson had hired him to retrieve some jewelry and possibly kill the bitch, as he alleged Simpson said. The LAPD dismissed the claims outright. Fred Goldman, Ron's father, flatly called it ridiculous. But the story stuck enough for media attention. Rogers became the subject of several documentaries and docuseries, including My Brother the Serial Killer, in which his brother Clay claimed Glen had confessed to the Brown Simpson killings. Rogers even shared letters, sketches, and written confessions with profiler Anthony Mioli. Still, legally, nothing ever came of it. Rogers has spent nearly 3 decades in solitary confinement on death row. He has written letters, created artwork, and given interviews. Inmates called him charming. Authorities call him dangerous. The press calls him Casanova, though his trail of seduction always led to tragedy. On April 15, 2025, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed the final death warrant. Rogers' execution is scheduled for May 15, 2025, ending one of the most bizarre and brutal chapters in American true crime history. Glen Edward Rogers left behind a legacy not of mystery, but of mourning. The women who met him saw charm. What they got was a predator. As the needle inches closer, families of the victims may feel a measure of justice, though no punishment can match the pain left in the wake of the man they called the Casanova Killer. Thank you for watching and joining us as we walk through the chilling story of Glen Edward Rogers and the lives forever changed by his actions. If this story moved you, intrigued you, or even haunted you just a little, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another twisted tale. And as always, stay curious, stay cautious, and stay safe.